Okay. Okay, let's see if this works a little bit better. Not sure who's in the chat right now, but if you're here, we're back live. We're having massive technical difficulties, guys, so sorry about all of these issues. If we keep having these issues, we might have to postpone the show a little bit, but we will do our best to hopefully have this show and make this happen. So, first of all, we want to test a couple things. Make sure you can hear me, one. Scotty, go ahead and tell us how you're doing so far today, and see if people can hear you as well.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. This has been a lot of fun to get through, you know. Don't know if anyone can hear me, so I might just pop off saying some weird shit right now. I'm not sure. Until I find out if they can't hear me, I'm just gonna go off on some weird tangents. But if they can, I'll try and fake a normal person for a little bit.
Yeah. So let me see if I can hear us on the side here. Sometimes I just test it on my device. You can hear us both. Perfect. All right. I think we're on track. Ella Cola, thank you for bearing with us. Ella Cola, do I sound echoey at all? Check. 1, 2.
No, but
check?
there's something. I think there's something wrong with your face.
Oh, here we go.
Like you sound fine to me, but your face is an issue that we have to address at some point.
Okay. Well, you know what? Ella Cola says that she can hear both of us, so I think that is a good enough situation for us. So, thanks for being a part of this. Unfortunately, echoing. Yep, that's what I figured. So, sorry about the echo. You will have to deal with that throughout the course of the show, so I apologize. If the echoing is the worst of our issues here, then it is what it is. So, sorry for that echo. Literally, I don't know what's going on with our stream tonight because I never ever change our settings. We never ever have to do anything different. And all of a sudden, my mic doesn't work, our stream isn't going live, our sound isn't working, and usually, you know, these are pretty set settings. So you set them and forget them. So, sorry for all the issues here, but we want to still get to the bulk of our show, and since it's already 8:10, we want to get rolling on it. So let's just jump in. What do you think, Scotty?
It's my bedtime, so let's roll.
Well, let's do it. So we have, if you're new on Wednesdays here and you haven't been a part of the show, well, welcome to this shit show that we have going on. This is
New name, no longer the Action Lab. Welcome to the shit show.
Welcome to the shit show, everybody. We appreciate each and every one of you.
And we can say shit because it's after 8 o'clock now, so the kids are asleep.
Kids are asleep, so we're good there. So let's dive in. So we have 5 stories for you that we're going to run through here, and we're going to dive into each and every one of these because these are some of the top stories that we've run into. Now, it's a slow day, right? Slow time period. Echo stopped. Sweet. Love it. So we have a different kind of time frame here, Scotty. We don't have any baseball, right? We're still on the All-Star break. We don't have any football, obviously. Basketball is the only game going right now. And then everything else, we finished up Euros. I mean, everything else is just kind of, there's nothing else going on. So it's pretty light.
Normally this is the slowest. They always say the day after the All-Star game is the slowest sports day of the year because there's normally actually nothing going on. The NBA Finals are long gone and done by this point in a normal year because they finish up in June. But since they delayed the start of the season and pushed it all back, we at least have the NBA Finals because normally this is the one day out of the year where there's literally no sports going on.
Seriously.
We're here and we're talking about it.
It's rough.
To fill your sports needs just like a half hour late after some technical glitches. So we're good now.
We're good.
Let's roll.
So let's jump in. And we have some Ben Simmons stuff to talk about right here. First off, leading the show is Ben Simmons. So Ben Simmons is been in the news, obviously, with all of the issues he's had with his playoff performances and everything under the sun when it comes to the fact that he just hasn't been the all-star that they've really needed in the Philadelphia 76ers organization. Obviously, he hasn't really. It's not like hasn't meshed well. He just hasn't exactly been what they need him to be. So, a lot of things were swirling around trades potentially at the end of the season, and what was going to happen there. Now, this wasn't exactly something that the Sixers said that they were going to do once the season ended. They were like, okay, maybe we can just, get through. We're going to try to train him up and be there for him and see what he can do for us moving forward. Well, all of a sudden this week, we get in the news that the Ben Simmons trade talks have commenced, and we have some people listening in and reaching out regarding Ben Simmons. So, Trade Simmons, they've opened up these per sources from The Athletic, and there's been some people reaching out across the league to try to figure out if he's going to be a good fit for their team. Now, it's been pretty robust. He's turning 25 this month. Was the NBA All-Team member in 2019-2020. Two-time All-Defensive First-Team member as a rookie, and a Rookie of the Year. He's under contract through 2025, making him the type of superstar talent that rarely becomes available at an attainable price for this juncture in his career. So, there's some things to like about him, but again, you also are getting a guy that you got to figure out whether or not he's fully committed to being better at basketball. Because a lot of times when we were looking in the playoffs and over the course of last season, I mean, even since he was drafted, his jump shot has been an issue, right? So, with that being said, he hasn't exactly improved it a lot. His free throws, I mean, they made fun of him at the ESPYs. I don't know if you saw that, Scotty, about him building homes for the less fortunate in other countries using the bricks from the playoffs.
Okay. That's a softball, but sure.
So I think it's an interesting situation for him to be in, and it's getting rolling now. What do you think about this, one? And then two, do you see him getting moved to another team, and who would you trade him for?
I mean, reportedly, the Sixers want another all-star, an all-star in return. So that's the bottom line of what they're, at least now, early on, I guess, in the process, asking for. I don't know. It's going to be tough. Like, listen, just like everything, like the stock market in life, you want to sell, when it's peaked, and you want to buy when it's low. The market on Ben Simmons right now can't be any lower. Like, after that playoff performance, after that series, where not only did he not, obviously his free throw struggles are a big part of it, his inability to shoot is a big part of it, but his lack of aggression and lack of, like, he had a dunk in the final minute of the game they ended up losing the series on, and he passed off and the guy got fouled and made one of two. And you just saw the look on Embiid's face. I think we talked about it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of this guy. Like, he's only 24, so he's still really, really young. But does he have that dog in him? I don't know if he has the dog in him. And to be fair, I don't know if he's ever going to be a good fit with Embiid. When those are your two centerpieces, I'm not sure that's a good fit to collectively. When those two, yeah, Embiid can stretch and go outside and stuff, but you'd rather have Embiid posting up and everyone around him being able to stretch the court and allow him space to do what he does. But when you have Simmons out there, like, you can hedge off Simmons because what is he going to do? Nothing from the outside. So I don't know. I honestly don't know a trade partner. I mean, obviously there's guys like Damian Lillard rumored to be on the move, and we've talked about that. I can't see Portland. While it makes sense in some fashion because Portland's really weak on the defensive side of the ball and has already good shooting. You're going to have to give a lot more up than just Ben Simmons, especially with that contract he has, to move on from Damian Lillard. Like, it's going to have to be Simmons plus a couple other guys, probably plus a first or a couple ones. Like, that's how good Damian Lillard is in my mind compared to Ben Simmons. Now, Ben Simmons, obviously, he's got an All-NBA. He's been first team All-NBA defense. The guy has some really, really good traits. No doubt about it. I just don't know if he has that dog. Like, Obviously, he went to college for 1 year. He went to LSU. They didn't make even the NCAA tournament. So, like, does he have the will and the want to win? Like, does that matter to him? I don't know. Like, you can see on the image we're scrolling through where he's shooting like a free throw and he's got only one hand on the ball. Like, what is that? What is that?
It's old school
Like-
Shaq, man. It's old school Shaq where he just kind of like
Yeah,
pulls it off.
but Shaq, listen, Shaq was a monster of a human being, and like his hands were just too big. I don't feel like Simmons needs to be that guy. Like, put both hands on the ball, shoot the ball like a normal human being. Like, spend your entire offseason in the gym figuring out how to improve this jump shot and build your mental capacity to know that you can hit this shot. And then, so if I'm Philadelphia, I'm not in a good position right now.
I mean, that's the thing.
I want to move on from him, but I don't think I'm going to get good value from him. So I probably have to keep him and hope that he can improve his ability to make, put that orange ball into the little hoop thing they have.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because obviously he's not exactly. How long has he been in the league? When did he get drafted, Scotty? What year was that? He's been in the year for what? 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, he's on his second deal with them. So I mean, he was only in, like I said, LSU for a year. So he's at least been there 4 seasons. Yeah, I think 4.
Yeah. So I mean, he's had 4 years to battle criticism of him not being able to shoot, and to your point, there's like he needs to dedicate his offseason to being able to shoot. How come it's taken him 4 years to get to this point, and then he's like, all right, now that everyone's calling me out, I should probably learn how to start shooting. Like, I just don't. I'm with you. Have the dog aspect. I have the. Do you want to be the best aspect from my side of things? Like, how much do you want to be better at your craft? You see Michael Jordan, you see LeBron James, you see the greats. All of these guys figure out ways. LeBron James came in the league, couldn't shoot threes very well, figured it out. I mean, he's still not the best three-point shooter, but he shot threes now. He's shooting threes now better than he did when he first came into the league. Like, they all, if they want to be the best, work on their game. And I just don't see the determination from him that he's really dedicated to being the best. And that's just where I see it. So I don't know if I would take a flyer on him unless I'm using him specifically for my team as like a, I don't know. I don't know what I would do. But maybe I just...
Philly has to have some insight. Maybe it's not maybe it's just a lack of ability. Like, he does it, but it's just not, like, he works at it, but it doesn't matter. He just doesn't have the ability to do it, or he hasn't worked at it.
Yeah.
So Philly knows. So if he hasn't worked at it enough and they feel like he can still improve if he actually works at it, then if I'm Philly, I'm not trading him.
Yeah.
Like, if he's not humiliated by his free throw performance in the playoffs to the point where he's in the gym every day doing that, like, I know if that was me, I would be mortified. I'm like, I would like stay away from any defender. Like, please don't foul me. Please don't make me go to that line again, because I don't want people watching me not be able to hit this shot when I'm on a like max deal and supposed to, the number 1 pick in the draft. Yeah. So I'm just, obviously emotionally right after they lost in the playoffs, I'm like, they got to move on. And I think if they could get good value, they would move on. I just don't think they'll get enough value. I think he's back in Philly next year, and it's a do or die situation for him.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the market ends up being. It's going to be moving quickly, I think, in the next. Here's the thing. NBA offseason is going to be spectacular every single offseason, obviously, but this will be a fun one with Ben Simmons potentially on the move, Lillard potentially getting out there. Who knows?
Everything's going to be condensed because of the short offseason again.
Yep.
So everything's going to happen quickly. We'll have the draft. We'll have free agency. Everything will happen quickly, and they're supposedly going to start on normal time next year, which means usually, what is that, late October, 1st of November, right around that time. So
yeah. So we'll see. It's going to be fast and furious this offseason, that's for sure. Deb in chat had to switch from Twitch to Facebook. Twitch reverted back to Sunday show. Yeah, so we've been having some technical difficulties going online, offline because of some of the issues on the audio and just Twitch side. So that was why. So glad to have you back on. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for everyone else who's again bared with us. But let's move on to the next one. Messi cashes in, and that has to do with him getting a big deal from Barcelona. That they were on the fritz for a minute, right? Now Lionel Messi they were trying to figure out how to extend this deal, try to figure out what was going on. They finally got there. So Lionel Messi and Barcelona have reached an agreement for the forward to sign a new 5-year deal with the Real Madrid. I mean Barcelona. Sorry,
Barcelona.
I'm thinking of
how dare you?
I know. It's terrible for me to say that. So Messi was a free agent after his contract with Barcelona expired, and he accorded interest from Paris Saint-Germain, PSG, and Manchester City since revealing his desire to end his 20-year relationship with Barcelona last summer. The 34-years old, his previous contract, which was worth over 500 million euros or 594 million US dollars over 4 years, expired on June 30th. So, part of this was potentially due to the return of Johan Laporta, the president, who in March, he came back in March, which then, at that point, some of the issues from the previous president that was there in Barcelona left. He was like, all right, maybe I can play a little bit more, because at this point, Messi has a good relationship with him from earlier on in his career. So, so there is a little bit of all right, I want to restructure things and make sure everything looks good. Now, he's not going to be able to. I think there's still the deal isn't exactly set, but he is taking a pay cut for this. He's not exactly going to be making like huge money like you would normally think.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's taken a significant wage reduction to prolong his stay.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's what we're gonna get details on that moving forward. So we'll see what that looks like. But part of that is due to the league president Javier Tebas, who warned Barcelona they will not be allowed to register Messi's new deal if they are unable to reduce the spending to comply with the league's financial fair play rules. Barcelona's spending limit has been reduced from over 600 million to 347 million since the coronavirus pandemic, with further reductions expected to be imposed in the upcoming season. Therefore, a little bit of an addition to this, to register his new deal, in addition to the other signings, Sergio Aguero, Memphis Depay, Eric Garcia, and Emerson Royale, Barcelona needs to continue reducing the wage bill, moving on players, and moving players on. So, with that in mind, the sources at the club refuse to rule out the departure of some of the other names on the team, Antoine Griezmann, and a couple others. So, they're in a weird spot here, and that's kind of the reason why Messi is kind of taking a little less.
Okay. And the reason I was like, you're like, he's, agreeing to it. You said his numbers before. He was on a 4-year, essentially $600 million deal prior to this. To put that in perspective, the highest NFL contract in the history of the NFL, I believe, is Patrick Mahomes. I'll drink for that. It's fine. He's signed a 10-year, $500 million contract. So that's about $50 million a year. Messi's is 3 times that, his prior contract. Tiger Woods' we talked about Tiger Woods' lifetime earnings on the last show. $120 million on tour. Now that doesn't include endorsements and all that other stuff where he's made way more money than he has on tour. But he's the leading earnings on tour by far, $120 million, $30 million less than Messi made in the past year from Barcelona. Oh wait, we can go to Djokovic in tennis.
We talked about this.
148 million lifetime earnings, number one all time, tied for the most majors in tennis history. Oh wait, he's making right around the same amount as Messi did for his career that Messi has in the past year. So when Messi's taking a pay cut, and I've heard it's rumored it's a 50% pay cut, fine. He's still making US dollars 75 million a year at the age of, he's going to be 35, 36, 37, 38, and 39. So it's not going to be peak Messi. Now, granted, Messi's a skill guy, so his ability, it's not like he's just fed off his athleticism, more like we talked about, like a Ronaldo does, being just a freak athlete and finisher. Messi's the most skilled player in the world, so that won't go away with age. His skill level will not go away. Like, now, his ability to stay healthy, his ability to stay fit, his ability to move like he used to is gonna waver for sure. And I talked about on the last show how if like peak Messi versus peak Ronaldo, I'm taking peak Messi all day for my team. And it's fine if people want to disagree with that or agree with that, whatever. But I would take Messi. But when we talk about pay cut, he's still gonna make 50% more than Patrick Mahomes is on his contract next year, which is the most popular sport in America, by the way, and outside of soccer, of course, in the world. So he's doing just fine. And Barcelona, has had to make some pay cuts, but man, 75 million at the age of 30, coming up on 35 to play that sport. He's doing all right.
Can you imagine making that at your age, Scotty?
That is my age, and I am just falling short of that 75 million threshold. Just short. I don't like to talk what my finances, but I'm just falling short of that.
It's the stream. It's our stream that's making you all this money. This Action Lab that we make big bucks here. I
make about 30 million off this stream. I just don't make enough of my real job.
You want to talk about all the other big streamers, XQC and Ninja and all those. They don't compare to what we make with this. We have 38 followers and climbing. Man, we're on the just wait.
And by the way, I used to think I was going to push my son into different sports and whatnot. I'm not even going to let him use his hands from now on. Like, he can only touch, not even a soccer ball, like with his feet, like anything. He's only allowed to use his feet from now on. We're going to make sure he can get that 75 million a year contract.
Send him overseas at the age of 13. Yeah. He'll join in on the
whatever we got to do.
We'll make it happen. And then we can jump in and get like a box or something. All I want is a box to watch the games. That's all I need.
I think if my son's making 75 million a year, we can do something about that.
But yeah, so Messi, he'll be fine. As mentioned, we'll see what the details are here coming up soon, but he's cashing in big still, even at his latter age and his latter part of his career. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. But we have another big one here, and that is the MLB All-Star Game is in the books. The weekend is in the books. Everything is done, and we have seen the dust settle. We are into the second half of the season. We'll maybe dive in here in a second to what we expect and what we're looking forward to the second half of the season. But I want to go back. We, obviously I went to the Home Run Derby, and I was kind of torn based off of what I wanted to wear to the Home Run Derby. I ended up wearing my Rockies gear because, you got to represent for the hometown team, and that's my number one team, so I definitely represented. But I told everyone I went with, maybe I should have rocked on the Home Run Derby my Mets gear to cheer on Pete Alonso, who came along and just tore that event up. He was absolutely spectacular. People don't... by the way... We'll get into more of Pete Alonso and some of how things panned out here in a second. But overall, that was one of the most entertaining all-star events. Not just in baseball all-star events. That was one of the most entertaining all-star event of any sport that I've seen in a long, long time, Scotty. I don't know if you've heard a lot of feedback from a lot of the fans and a lot of the local outlets, but I know Deb in chat was watching that on TV. First time ever watching a home run derby. She said she was absolutely blown away by how much fun that was to watch on TV. And I mean, the reviews that I heard from everybody around the stadium, I had 3 or 4 friends there that said this was the most amazing, event. Knocked it out of the park, and pun intended.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. I've talked to several people that went to both the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game itself, and everyone has told me they enjoyed the Home Run Derby more. And I think that wasn't surprising to me. I said if I was just a casual fan or whatever, not involved with it, I would want to go to the Home Run Derby just because it's a different event. You can't go to that any other time. You can go to a baseball game. You cannot go to a Home Run Derby with the best, hitters alive, or at least, a lot of them. So that's like a unique event. It's a little more action packed, which is a little bit telling of baseball's issue. Like they need to, especially like an all-star game, when you have a lot of times when you have the best pitchers facing the best hitters, guess who wins? Pitchers.
Yep.
So it's not always action packed enough with the actual all-star game, outside of Vlad Guerrero Jr. just dropping a like 480-foot home run in the game and getting the MVP for the AL, which is cool. Like, I don't know if you've seen the photo that has circulated for years now of him and his dad on the field. I don't know if it was an all-star game or not, but when his dad, of course, was on the Expos, one of the, Hall of Famer, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. is probably, I don't know what age he is, but he is a large kid. Like he is, like you would never believe he's gonna be like an MLB player at that point. Like he is a little chunky, a little overweight, and just looks like a little out of place out there. And here he is getting MVP, one of the best players and young players in the game. But yeah, obviously Alonso was electric. I would argue that whoever was thrown to Alonso, I don't even know who it was, but he was fantastic. He was definitely the best BP pitcher of anybody in there. So no disrespect to Alonso, he did what he needed to do and he crushed it. And I didn't know like Alonso's personality prior to this. He's got certainly some personality to him.
He's got some flair.
He made it fun. He made it flair. I had a buddy that was like, is he like tripped out on something? Like, what's he doing? I just think he was having fun out there, bobbing along, like enjoying it. Like the crazy thing, and I'm sure people have heard about this, is that he literally, when he's won the home run derbies, he makes $1 million on winning that, which is more than his contract is, by the way.
600,
so he's making like
700?
like 650. And he makes $1 million on the home run derby. So he put on a show. My brother was out in left field with a group of his friends, and his friend caught a Pete Alonso home run. I believe it was the semifinal clinching home run that he caught. So pretty cool. I know a couple other people that caught different guys home runs. I know somebody that caught an Ohtani home run, somebody that caught a Trey Mancini home run. So kind of cool to witness that. There were 208 balls out there for people to get a hold of with the total home runs for this home run derby, but it was fun. The game was like solid, but not like nothing crazy. I wanted to be tight, a little tighter than it was, and it could have been in that bottom of the eighth. Chris Bryant had bases loaded on a 3-0 count with 2 outs for the NL, down 5-2, and hit a line drive to the left, and was snagged. A great play by the left fielder, who's normally not a left fielder, to make that play and make a diving catch that saved a couple runs, and continuing on in that inning. And it could have got interesting, but that's now 8 straight for the AL. So 8 straight All-Star game wins for the American League. So the National League needs to get out the schneid. I was hoping that was going to be yesterday.
Yeah, there was some money coming in on the National League, and I mean, I didn't touch it. I hit the under in the actual. I did a under 5.5 in the first 5 innings, so I hit that. or no, under 4.5. I don't know, something like that. So I hit that, but I didn't really bet too much else on anything else. Yeah, I mean, Alonso crushed 35 home runs in the first round, highest single total of the night. 23 homers in the final round to beat Mancini, who is a good story coming back from cancer, and like it was a great story that he made it that far. As far as the outfielder, Ohtani, who everyone is just electric waiting for him to come up to the plate. And of course, why wouldn't you be? He's insanely talented. Ended up getting a lot of foul balls into the first base line, just one after another, but ended up getting into a little overtime. And like, even though he didn't make it out of that to go to the next round, they went, and it was a super close second round or like tiebreaker, still tied, and then ended up going to the last one, which wasn't really super entertaining when it came to him. He only hit one. He needed to hit three, but Soto ended up hitting three straight in the final overtime, and it was a little over at that point. So yeah, Pete Alonso ends up winning his second. He's the defending champion with the win. He becomes the third player to ever win back-to-back derbies. The only other two are Giannis Cespedes in 2013. And in 2014, and Ken Griffey Jr. in 98 and 99. And I believe Cespedes played for the Mets as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Were those with the Mets though?
I don't know.
I think those were with.
Were they with somebody
I think
else?
they were with Oakland.
Were they with?
They were with Oakland.
Oh, okay. So fair enough.
I think so.
He earned $2.08 million in 2.5 seasons with the Mets overall, and $2 million for back-to-back home run derby wins. So, I mean, that just shows you what that looks like there. By the way, MLB wisely did not store the home run derby balls at Coors Field Humidor, right, Scotty? So we didn't have to worry about any balls just kind of, just not making it where we wanted to. So no humidor. High altitude makes for some good, solid distance when it came to those home runs. Here are the 10 longest home runs of the 2021 Derby. So there was nothing lower than 505, and there was nothing higher than 520. So everything was between 505 and 520. Juan Soto was the one that had the longest at 520. And Trevor Story ended up hitting the second longest at 518. Prior to Monday, the longest home run derby home run in the StatCast era was 513 by Aaron Judge in 2017. So 513, I mean, we had all of these top 10 above 505. So that just shows you what kind of a hitting
altitude can do a little something.
And yeah, absolutely. So this was a lot of fun, and just balls were just flying everywhere. It was just a fun event to watch, and I agree, it was more entertaining than the actual All-Star game. So
I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I think it's fine only because it's once a year. So because it's once a year, it's more entertaining because it's different and it's new and things like that. Whereas every team plays 162 baseball games. So I think it's fine. Although part of me is like, is it good that the home run derby's more entertaining than the actual game itself?
We need offense, man.
I think it is. I think it's fine. If the home run derby happened as often as like an actual baseball game, I don't think it would compete with an actual baseball game. Yeah. But I agree. And the commissioner actually came out, and let's move on because we've been on this a while. But commissioner came out today talking about reverting some of the rules, and maybe we'll dive into that on a different show, whether that's a good or bad thing. But
yeah, well, I mean, we've been talking a lot about hitting, but we're getting back into the pitching here, and that is partly because the Angels. Love the title here, by the way. No Angels in the
Thank you. Thank
that.
you. I came up with that.
That was pretty. That's pretty clever. I love that.
I like that one.
I don't see these names until all of a sudden I download them and throw them into our Streamlabs, and all of a sudden I see some fun stuff in there. But the Los Angeles Angels made unique draft history this past week. They made 20 picks in a 20-round draft and selected 20 pitchers. The only other team to select all pitchers in the draft was Miami Marlins a year ago, but MLB shortened that draft to just 5 rounds due to COVID. So Miami University right-hander Sam Bachman was the Angels' first-round pick, one of 19 college pitchers they selected. Only one high school selection was the 12th round pick of Mason Albright from IMG Academy in Florida. So, a little quote from the team about their draft. Today was really targeting pitching. No shit. He said, "We took 20 pitchers, and that was a strong focus for us today. There are so many valuable pitchers to bring to this organization. So just got to go and play the hot hand." So they emphasize, yeah.
That's a terrible quote. Like, that's embarrassing to say that out loud.
Oh, man.
If you're the GM. But go ahead. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, so then the Angels emphasized drafting pitching under Swanson in previous drafts as well. In 2017, 13 of their first 20 picks were pitchers. In 2018, 16 of their 20 were pitchers, although the top 2 selections were position players. And in 2019, 17 of their first 20 choices were pitchers, although 2 of the top, again, were position players. This year, the Angels were all in. Angels currently rank 12th in American League with a 4.9 ERA, and the starting rotation has a 5.06 ERA. So I don't know what's worse, Scotty, is the fact that you take as many pitchers as you take over the course of the last 4 years, and you still can't get pitchers that really can do it. Like, if I'm John Elway and I'm drafting quarterback after quarterback after quarterback after quarterback after quarterback,
yeah, they'd still fail.
I mean, that's kind of what I feel like these guys are doing. They're all like, at some point, stop taking pitchers if you can't draft pitchers. I mean, you're taking as many as you possibly can, hoping one sticks. But it's kind of
you've kind of changed a little bit of my outlook. I did not know their draft history as far as how many pitchers they've taken recently. Because in my mind, I'm like, shoot your shot. Like, pitching's super important. Obviously, their pitching is not good. They obviously have some, bats. They're taking college guys. 19 and 20 college guys says to me that, like, hey, Ohtani's here. We got Trout. We got a couple other pieces. Well, they're still good and they're in their prime. Let's find some guys that can show up and pitch and make us a contender, because they have wasted having the best player in Major League Baseball. And now, and I'm talking about Mike Trout, just to be clear. And now everyone's obsessed with Ohtani, and he's been the best player in baseball this year. So you have 2 of the certainly best 10 players in the position players, and well, Ohtani, of course, is a really, really good pitcher as well, at your disposal. So for me, I'm kind of like, I kind of like it. I kind of like, hey, clearly it's kind of a crapshoot, especially in the MLB draft. Once you get past, I don't know, the first 5 rounds, like no other, draft has that many rounds. That's, the NFL has 7, but there's a lot more positions. So I'm kind of like, shoot your shot. Like, you're basically saying, like, hey, it's a crapshoot at this point. Let's take all the pitchers we can and hope some of these guys hit. Some of these guys we can cash in on and make us elite, because starting pitching is the most important thing you can have on your roster.
Yep.
So I don't hate it. Like, and I'd equivalent it to, like, eventually, like, I think eventually this will happen in the NFL. I think you find a team in the NFL that is quarterback starved, which they're always out there, right? That pulls the trigger on taking it's the equivalent to taking a quarterback in the first 3 rounds, each round. So in your first 3 rounds, you draft 3 different quarterbacks, and you're like, all right, let's go, guys. Like, battle it out. Like, whoever's the best, has to be pretty good at this point, because we've taken 3 top talents in this draft. And I wouldn't hate that for a team, because in the NFL, that's super important too. So it's unconventional. It's crazy. It allowed me to create this No Angels in the Outfield title, which I'm super excited about. But I like thinking outside the box, so I don't hate it for the Angels. Like, shoot your shot. draft a bunch of these guys, some of them have to hit, right? Like when you draft 20 guys, 2 of them have to like be decent, right? Right?
Well, and that's the thing. I love this. I love this in just from a strategic standpoint. I don't love it from an Angel standpoint because they can't draft pitchers, obviously. So, with that being said, I was thinking to myself when I saw this, I was like, why don't the Rockies do this? Why don't the Rockies just draft every pitcher? We draft. I mean, we're great at drafting position players. Obviously.
Wait, quick poll. What is the Rockies' strength this year? What is the best
here's the thing.
part of the Rockies this year? I know they're not a great team, obviously record-wise. What is the strength of the Rockies roster this season? What is it?
I mean,
in your opinion.
I don't know. I mean, they can hit the ball, right? They're position players. The Rockies have historically done well in drafting position players, whether that's Trevor Story or Arenado or all these guys that we've really done well with position players. That's the one thing that I will say is one of our strengths when it comes to drafting. However, I mean, McMahon obviously too. We've done really well with that as well. But like at some point, I feel like you just gotta just throw some bunch of pitchers out there. Now, how long are these position players that we've had? I mean, they're staying for a while, right? But they end up leaving because we can't win games, and they end up leaving because we don't have our pitching can't keep us in. Our bullpen's awful and everything else, and it's just that's the issue, right?
The issue is not starting pitching. Starting pitching this year is without a doubt the biggest strength on the Rockies roster, and it's not close. It is not remotely close. We can't hit on the road to save our lives. Like, our road ability to hit is, like, if you look at the numbers, it's terrifying. Our pitching at home and on the road, actually, it's better at home, which is wild to think about. But our starting pitching has been fantastic this year. Our bullpen, put it mildly, has not been good. And our lineup is not good. It's not good. Our hitting. So everyone always jumps to, hey, we can hit in Denver, but we can't pitch. In a lot of years that might be true, but this year it's not close. Our starting pitching, when you look at Marquez, John Gray. So John Gray, drafted by the Rockies, 3rd overall in the draft. Kyle Freeland, 1st round pick, pitching pretty well. Even though he was hurt for the first couple months. Other guys drafted, that Antonio Sensatella, who was either drafted, he came up in our organization. We traded for Hermano Marquez, our all-star this year. But that was a fantastic trade we made. So this year, our starting pitching has been great. It's everything else that has been a problem. But we took an outfielder, a high school outfielder in the 1st round, 8th overall, and people freaked out that we didn't take a pitcher. And I'm like, listen, we're taking a high school guy, so he's going to be on the roster. First of all, even if our pitching was garbage right now, he's going to be in the roster 4 years from now. So who knows what the roster looks like at that point. And I'd rather take best player available, and he's the toolsiest guy in the draft, and tools is important to me. Like, I would rather take upside and have it blow up, especially when you're drafting in baseball where there's a lot of unknowns, especially when you're drafting high school guys. But this guy is the most athletic guy in the draft that we drafted at 8th overall. And we drafted an outfielder last year. So if those two combine to reach their potential, like, we have 2/3 of an outfield that will be dominant. And we've come a long way with our starting pitching. It was, of course, a weakness for a very, very long time. It's not right now. It's not. It's the strength of our team. And if we had a hitting lineup like some of the other teams, we would be in playoff contention right now with our starting rotation. And our bullpen is not good. I will say that. But bullpen, you can't draft high bullpen pitchers. And 2, bullpen is erratic in my mind. A pitcher that dominates in the bullpen one year might be trash the next year. it's very, very hard to predict success in a bullpen pitcher.
So last question for you. Last question.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
with
Go ahead.
this, if so, the Rockies, let's say they are, on this right track of getting their starting pitching in place. They have a good, nice little, rotation going with the starting pitching. Wouldn't it be valuable to also draft some more guys to come up behind those guys in the future? I mean, sometimes it takes these guys 3-4
Oh,
years.
they didn't pick 20 position players. Their first round pick happened to not be a pitcher. Their second round pick was a pitcher. I believe their next 2 picks after their first round pick, for sure, I know, were both pitchers. So it's not like they weren't addressing the position. People were upset that their number 8 overall pick wasn't a pitcher. They wanted Kumar Rocker, pitcher out of Vanderbilt. Not this pitcher that was just featured right there. A different guy out of Vanderbilt to be the pick. And he wasn't. Actually, I think he went to the Mets. A few picks after that. But they took an outfielder. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with that. Like, I am a big believer in looking at and I don't know anything about the guy they took outside of what people have said. It's not like I've ever seen him play. He's a high school kid. But I'm a big believer across all sports of boom or bust. I'm a big believer, and granted, I haven't had to be the guy that fails monumentally as a GM when it does bust, and it will inevitably. But I would rather take a guy who's rather than a guy that's like safe. He'll be solid, but his ceiling isn't as high. I'm taking the guy in the picture to like compete, and I'd like to.
The first 2 of those were high school pitchers, but the elections, the Bucks and the Suns. So,
but
it's always one of the big ones.
Might be wrong.
He's finding himself in a lot of trouble. He knows he leads the tour in tour